Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 116 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish is probably one that you've seen in aquariums if you've gone to the aquarium, and I'm not talking about the aquarium store, I'm talking about an actual live aquarium. They're always really cute and they're always really interesting, but a lot of people don't go take that any further. I know that's kind of specific, but it'll make sense if you see when you see what I'm talking about. Today's fish that we're going to be talking about but before we get to that, I should mention, if you notice, the Willie Nelson braids. These are a special request by one of our longtime viewers. I just want to say thank you to the love and support, and thank you to everyone for the love and support for the channel. You guys are the reason that I still do Fish Friday. But regardless, today's fish that we're going to be talking about is the spotted garden eel. So the spotted garden eel, or scientific name Heteroconger ossi. Again, that is Heteroconger ossi. It is part of the family Congridae, which is the family of conger and garden eels. Who would have guessed? It is found in the tropical and subtropical waters of the Indo-Pacific, and they're found at depths of, about 15 to 45 meters, which is around 50 to 150 feet. And they are a small fish. If you've seen these in the aquarium, you see, they look like little tiny reeds coming out. They're still small, with a max length of about 40 centimeters. Most of the time you're seeing, by the way, 40 centimeters is about 1.3 feet. Most of the time you're seeing probably 15 centimeters of this thing, if that. Yeah, you usually do not see the entire fish, if ever. In fact, the reason why I have this very specific picture is when you look, I could not find a picture of this fish outside of its burrow. Trust me, I looked. But we'll get into that in a little bit. It is an eel, so it has that eel-like body shape, that actual head, and slim head, slim body, cylindrical body. And it does have a small-ish head, but it's actually a bigger head than you would think. Most of the people that would see this, they would assume that this part right here would be the head. That's what people assume. However, you would be wrong. The head is much larger than that. It appears shorter because of its kind of big mouth and large eyes. It makes you feel that it's all at the front. But it's actually all the way to back here. And the reason why I know this is because this is white with dark flecks going down the body, but the spotted garden eel, if you haven't noticed, has spots, like big spots. That's what differentiates it. It has 3 large spots going down its body. Usually you will only see 1, maybe 2. There's one right here, which that's where the gill openings are, and that's where the end of the head is. So that's why I know if this is the end of the gill openings, that's going to be where the end of the head is, realistically, not up in here. So you got your head, you got your one at the gill openings, and then there's another dot that's like way back in the middle, and I did find one picture of it kind of out. You can see right here, it's got these dots farther out. In fact, yeah, so you can see these ones have 2 spots coming out, so they're a little more out of their little burrow. And speaking of this picture, they do live in colonies. I should mention prior to that, you can see here the size of the mouth and the eyes compared to the body shape. But they do live in colonies on sandy bottoms. That's why I didn't if you notice, I say kind of what habitats these creatures are found in, I wanted to save that for this. Garden eels live in colonies on sandy bottoms that have currents. It's very important, they have currents. That's because these don't hunt. They dig in a burrow where it stays most of its life. And for those of you who are interested, the reason why the burrow doesn't collapse on them is they actually have a specialized gland in their tail that secretes a sticky substance that keeps the burrow from falling in on itself. So essentially they glue the sides of their holes so that sand doesn't continue to, if you've ever tried to dig a hole in the sand, you know that it'll collapse on you. That's why it doesn't. Then they expose about a third of its body out of the hole, pointing their mouth into the current. They are a carnivore and they eat plankton. And what they'll, so that's actually a good way you can tell which way the current is going as well. You just, if you do see these, which way are they facing? Because they will almost always face into the current. It actually has to do hunt by sight, if you can call it hunting. They're basically just sitting there swaying, and it hunts by sight. You can tell by these incredibly large eyes. It does have nostrils, but they are extremely small, like very, very small. It is almost strictly as a sight. So it's just sitting there, swaying its mouth or its head back and forth, just looking for plankton that are drifting in the current. When it does, it will snap. Now this kind of changes during mating season, not how they eat, just where they are. When it becomes mating season, these eels actually move their burrows significantly closer together, basically until they can reach each other. Once they're able to reach each other, that's when they do it. So basically they take their burrows, they move them there. It's almost like the only time that you'll see them moving. Most of the time they're in their burrow, like they're done. They're not moving. When mating season, they come on close. So this, I believe, would be considered during mating season because they're getting closer together. Because it's, unless this is taken like in an aquarium where they just have no choice. But anyway, they get closer together so till they're within reaching distance. Because then the male picks a female that he wants to mate with and defends her. Like, bad defends her. Like, he bites at the heads of other males and they're biting each other, and they'll bite at the head and the eyes. See, most of the time during like mating rituals, you know, when males are defending other males, like, yes, they're violent, don't get me wrong, but they're not meant to mate. It's just meant to overpower and cower. It may get to that, but these guys are set out, if they find a girl that they like, they will go to the death. Well, not to the death, but they'll defend them very viciously, and if they get beat, it's, you know, they might lose an eye or two. It's apparently incredibly vicious. Anyway, so once the males and the females are happy with their choices, the couple will mate, and then the female releases the eggs up into the water column, and they are actually buoyant. They are highly buoyant, so they float way up in the water column, and they gather up at the top of the water, and then the babies develop and hatch, and then they just kind of swim away, kind of grabbing whatever plankton they can get, and whenever they decide they're large enough, they basically swim straight down to find some sand and dig a burrow, and that's their home now. That's apparently like the life history of the spotted garden eel, and not just the spotted garden eel, like the life history of garden eels. Kind of bizarre when you think about it. But now for the interesting fact that we're going to end the video on, it's actually not about this fish specifically, it's about the predators of this fish, which was really interesting when I found that. So one of the predators of this fish is the triggerfish, which triggerfish, if you have never seen these, oh well, you've definitely seen these. We've talked about these on the channel, I hope you did. But these are these, you know, very specialized fish. They got the parrot-like beak. The reason why they're called triggerfish is because most of the time they have a spine that you could act like a trigger down at the bottom. Or at least that's how I learned them. But yeah, so triggerfish are actually one of the main things that eat these. And what happens is the triggerfish scare the garden eels by swimming over them really fast, and it causes them to retreat in the burrow. If you've seen these in an aquarium, you see them, they come out, come back in pretty often. And then the triggerfish actually scares them in the burrow, then digs them up and eats them. And it honestly seems like, yeah, there's nothing much the eel could do to avoid this. It's pretty much just sitting there. That's part of the problem about the fact that you don't move. So yeah, the triggerfish scare them into their burrows, then dig them up and immediately eat them. But another predator is almost even crazier. The Pacific snake eel is one of the top predators of this fish. And what it does is even crazier. It burrows into the sand near a colony. And then it digs underneath the burrows and finds a spotted garden eel's burrow, and then kind of digs under it and then just goes up, grabs its tail, and it's completely under the substrate. So the garden eel can't even tell that it's about to get eaten. Like, it literally swims like a burrow. So immediately when I heard about this, when I saw this while doing my research, it was, oh my god, it's a real life Tremors. If you remember the 19 movie Tremors, this is a real life Tremors situation for that garden eel. It just goes woo and shoop. So anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you do. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. Drop a comment below on a fish you'd like to see. And